welcome back to our channel, soap opera lovers. It is a beautiful day to dive into the scandalous, ever-twisting world of Genoa City. We have so much to unpack today, so grab your favorite cup of coffee, find a comfortable spot, and let us get right into the heart of the latest jaw-dropping drama. Genoa City has just been rocked by an absolute earthquake of a scandal, and the epicenter is none other than the pristine, seemingly untouchable Abbott mansion. If you thought the tension between Jack Abbott, Diane Jenkins, and Patty Williams could not possibly escalate any further, you were entirely mistaken. We are witnessing a masterclass in revenge, orchestrated by a woman who has been chronically underestimated by the very man she once adored. Patty Williams, a woman whose fragile mental state has historically been the subject of town gossip, has just flipped the script in the most spectacular, devastating way imaginable. She has gone directly to the media, bypassing the usual Genoa City rumor mill, to broadcast a truth so explosive that it threatens to completely dismantle Jack Abbott's life, his marriage, and his legacy at Jabot Cosmetics. To truly understand the magnitude of this betrayal, we have to look back at the dark, twisted history that binds Jack Abbott and Patty Williams. This is not just a fleeting romance gone wrong. This is a decades-long saga of obsession, heartbreak, and profound psychological trauma. Longtime viewers remember the tragic loss of their unborn child, an event that shattered Patty's mind and cemented her dangerous fixation on Jack. Over the years, Patty has gone to extreme lengths, including altering her face with plastic surgery, just to be near him. Jack knows exactly how vulnerable and volatile Patty can be. He knows the triggers that send her spiraling. And yet, in his desperate, arrogant bid to outmaneuver his eternal rival, Victor Newman, and to manipulate the emotions of his estranged wife, Diane Jenkins, Jack chose to play with fire. He weaponized Patty's lingering affection, treating her not as a human being with a fragile psyche, but as a disposable pawn on his chessboard. The build-up to this catastrophic media leak has been nothing short of a psychological thriller. For the past 2 days, Diane Jenkins has been mysteriously missing. After leaving a highly vulnerable, tear-filled voicemail for Jack, a desperate plea for reconciliation that Jack completely failed to acknowledge, Diane retreated into the shadows, convinced that her husband had cruelly rejected her. In her absence, the Abbott men have been losing their minds. Kyle Abbott, driven by a primal, protective rage over his mother's disappearance, recently tracked Patty down, kicked in her door, and violently pinned her against a wall, demanding answers. Jack, too, leapt to the paranoid conclusion that Patty had kidnapped Diane, especially after receiving a cryptic, unsettling floral delivery from her. The Abbotts painted Patty as a villain, the crazy kidnapper lurking in the dark. But they were looking in the wrong direction. Patty wasn't hiding Diane, she was meticulously preparing to destroy Jack. Jack Abbott's fatal flaw has always been his hubris. He genuinely believed he could orchestrate a calculated psychological warfare campaign, using Patty to make Diane jealous and to strike back at Victor Newman without suffering any consequences. He thought he could invite Patty into his orbit, dangle the promise of an alliance or even affection, and then swiftly discard her when she was no longer useful. But hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and Patty Williams has been scorned by Jack Abbott one too many times. When Jack abruptly backed out of their alliance, leaving Patty feeling used, humiliated, and discarded yet again, something inside her snapped. But instead of resorting to physical violence or a chaotic kidnapping plot as Jack expected, Patty chose a weapon far more lethal in today's world, the power of the press. Let us break down the sheer cinematic brilliance of Patty's media interview. Imagine the scene, the bright studio lights, the eager journalists hanging onto her every word, and Patty sitting there, looking the picture of a wrong, tragic heroine. She did not come across as the unhinged woman the Abbotts loved to portray her as. Instead, she was calm, articulate, and devastatingly precise. With tears welling in her eyes, Patty laid out the receipts. She detailed every secret meeting, every manipulative whisper, and every calculated move Jack made. She exposed to the world that Jack Abbott, the respected patriarch of one of the most prominent families in the state, had intentionally preyed on her mental vulnerabilities. She painted a vivid, horrifying picture of a man who would stoop to emotional abuse just to win a petty feud with Victor Newman and to play twisted mind games with his own wife. The specific details Patty revealed to the media are what make this scandal so incredibly damaging. She did not just offer vague accusations. She provided a step-by-step breakdown of Jack's psychological warfare. She explained how Jack intentionally paraded her around to trigger Diane's deep-seated insecurities. She revealed the cold, calculating nature of his alliance against Victor, proving that Jack's public persona of a noble, ethical businessman is nothing more than a carefully constructed facade. The broadcast sent shockwaves through Genoa City. Citizens who once looked up to Jack Abbott are now viewing him with absolute disgust. The narrative has shifted instantaneously. Jack is no longer the victim of Patty's obsession. He is the predatory mastermind who exploited a mentally ill woman for his own selfish gains. The immediate corporate fallout at Jabot Cosmetics is nothing short of a disaster. The phones in the executive suites are ringing off the hook with panicked shareholders, furious board members, and PR executives scrambling to contain a fire that is already burning the building to the ground. Jabot's brand is built on elegance, family values, and integrity. Having its CEO exposed as a manipulative emotional abuser is a public relations nightmare of epic proportions. Jack is currently sitting in his CEO chair, watching the legacy his father, John Abbott, worked so hard to build, crumble into dust. Investors are pulling out, partners are demanding answers, and Jack's grip on power is slipping through his fingers like sand. He is facing total professional isolation, and the worst part is, he has absolutely no one to blame but himself. Honestly, my personal commentary on Jack Abbott right now is a mixture of profound disappointment and utter lack of sympathy. Jack has been around the block enough times to know better. He knows Patty's history better than anyone. To intentionally use her mental illness as a tool for his own vendettas is not just reckless, it is incredibly cruel. Jack allowed his hatred for Victor and his frustration with Diane to completely cloud his moral judgment. He thought he was the smartest guy in the room, the grand puppet master pulling the strings. But he forgot that when you play with someone's sanity, you are bound to get cut. Jack's arrogance blinded him to the reality of the threat Patty posed. He deserves every ounce of the public humiliation and corporate ruin that is currently raining down upon him. On the other hand, my thoughts on Patty Williams are incredibly complex. Yes, she has done terrible things in the past, but in this specific instance, you have to marvel at her strategic genius. She took the Abbott family's greatest weapon against her reputation for being crazy and neutralized it by presenting herself as the lucid, victimized whistleblower. She knew exactly how to play the media, how to evoke sympathy, and how to strike Jack where it hurts the most, his ego and his public image. Patty has proven that she is not just a tragic figure driven by blind obsession. She is a lethal, highly intelligent adversary when pushed to the brink. She has successfully orchestrated the ultimate revenge, and she did it without breaking a single law. It is a terrifyingly brilliant move that will go down in Genoa City history. Now, we must address the most heartbreaking collateral damage in this entire explosive scenario, Diane Jenkins. As we know from the timeline, Diane has been missing for 2 days, hiding out in a state of profound emotional distress. She left Jack a vulnerable voicemail, begging for another chance, and when he didn't respond, she assumed he had moved on, perhaps even with Patty. Imagine Diane sitting alone in a dark, secluded room, turning on the television and seeing Patty's press conference. Imagine the absolute devastation of hearing, confirmed on national television, that her husband was actively engaging in psychological warfare against her. Any lingering hope Diane had for their marriage will be instantly incinerated. The betrayal is too deep, the manipulation too cruel. Diane Jenkins has spent years trying to reform her image, trying to prove that she is no longer the manipulative schemer who once faked her own death. She fought tooth and nail to earn back the trust of Jack and Kyle, and how does Jack repay her? By adopting the very same toxic, manipulative tactics she worked so hard to leave behind. Diane's trust in Jack will be completely, irrevocably shattered. She will realize that the man she loves is capable of a darkness she never anticipated. The irony is palpable. Diane is currently in hiding because of genuine heartbreak, while Jack is being exposed as the true manipulator. When Diane finally surfaces, she will not be the fragile, weeping wife seeking forgiveness. She will be a woman forged in the fire of ultimate betrayal, ready to burn Jack's world to the ground. The internal fracture within the Abbott family is going to be incredibly difficult to watch. Think about Kyle Abbott. Just hours ago, Kyle was so blinded by his loyalty to his father and his fear for his mother that he committed a violent physical assault against Patty. He pinned her against a wall, demanding answers, fully believing she was the villain. Now, the truth is out. Kyle will have to face the sickening realization that he assaulted a woman who was actually being victimized by his own father. The guilt and rage Kyle will feel toward Jack will be monumental. Jack has not only destroyed his marriage and his company, he has fundamentally compromised his son's moral compass. The Abbott family, once a united front against the world, will be torn apart from the inside out, with Jack standing alone on an island of his own making. So, what is going to happen next in this gripping, high-stakes drama? My prediction is that Diane Jenkins will emerge from her self-imposed exile with a vengeance that will make her past schemes look like child's play. She will immediately file for divorce, and it will not be a quiet, amicable separation handled behind closed doors. It will be a brutal, public bloodbath. Diane will use Patty's media interview as ammunition in court to take Jack for everything he is worth. She will demand a massive settlement, perhaps even gunning for a controlling stake in Jabot Cosmetics as compensation for the emotional distress he intentionally inflicted upon her. Furthermore, the Jabot board of directors will have no choice but to hold an emergency vote of no confidence, officially ousting Jack Abbott from the CEO position to save the company's plummeting stock. As for Patty Williams, she will revel in the glorious chaos she has unleashed. Having successfully destroyed the man who broke her heart, she will feel a twisted sense of closure. However, we cannot forget that Patty is secretly married to the amnesiac Matt Clark, who is currently being hunted by Victor Newman. With Jack out of the picture, Patty's obsessive focus will likely shift entirely to protecting Matt and wreaking havoc on the Newman family. The chessboard of Genoa City has been violently overturned, and the pieces are scattered everywhere. Jack Abbott's reign is over, Diane's wrath is just beginning, and Patty Williams is holding all the cards. This storyline is a perfect example of why we absolutely love the drama, the betrayal, and the shocking twists of this iconic show. The writers have truly outdone themselves, delivering a narrative that is rich in history, psychological depth, and explosive consequences. We will be watching every single episode closely to see how Jack attempts to crawl out of this bottomless pit, and how Diane executes her inevitable, glorious revenge. What do you think about Patty's brilliant media play? Do you feel any sympathy for Jack, or do you think he is finally getting exactly what he deserves? Drop your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments section below, and make sure to share this article with your fellow soap fans so we can all discuss this massive bombshell together.